Welcome to BootSpy. My name is William, and today I will be reviewing the acemarks Troy Chelsea boot. We're gonna take a look at this sleek black Chelsea boot and see whether or not it's right for you. So let's get into it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and also give us a thumbs up. Super helpful for the channel and I really appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. As I said, we're diving into the acemarks Troy Chelsea boot, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm not gonna mince my words. We're gonna get straight into it right now. So my first impression of the Troy Chelsea boot from acemarks, really I got this boot because I have a few Chelsea boots in my collection now. I've got 4 pairs, I believe, but I didn't have anything that was this sort of really slim, sleek style. And that's what really drew me to the Troy from acemarks. I do have a couple other pairs. These are Blake stitched, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means exactly for a Blake stitched pair of shoes, a pair of boots, but these are Moral Code Lowry boots. These are Goodyear welted. You can see around the edge, they're a little bit more bulky. I think of these as more like the American or English style Chelsea boots that's like Goodyear welted. And then you have the more Italian, European style Blake stitched boots that are much more slim, much more narrow, have a more pointed toe, and just less bulk on the sides and at the heel. So I was really looking for a pair of Chelsea boots that I could wear with a suit, or if I wanted to do something more business casual, something a little more dressed up. That's the kind of boot I was looking for. So the Troy, at least online, looked like that would be the ticket for me. So I ended up picking them up and they really fit that bill for me. I really love the way that these look. I've worn them around town now, I think about 3 times. So I've had like 3 solid wears, and that's walking around town, that's walking to the local brewery, getting a beer, and those are like 2-mile walks, you know? So I say I put in a good 5 miles so far on these boots, and they're holding up pretty well. In terms of style, I'm really impressed. I got exactly what I was looking for. They have black, they have like a chestnut, an oxblood, and like a deep brown color as well. But I went with black just because I don't really have, I already have another pair of brown Chelsea boots, and I didn't want to double up before I got a nice pair of more formal looking black Chelsea boots. That's why I went with black. In terms of leather quality, this is 100% Italian full grain calfskin leather. So it's really super tight grained, which means you get this very even look to it. In terms of lightness, calfskin seems leaps and bounds lighter than what you'd get from your standard full grain leather. And these are certainly, I was shocked at how lightweight these boots really are. I don't think at first I was like, oh, what's the deal with that? These are a little bit more lightweight than any other boot that I have. But after wearing them around for a while, I realized like I don't think that's an indicator of poor quality or anything like that. I actually think it's an indicator of how high quality these are, and the fact that they do have this like super rich, beautiful leather that is very lightweight. So again, Italian full grain calfskin leather. And then in terms of care, these require a little bit more care than your standard full grain leather. I will be conditioning this with a leather balm and then probably using a wax to kind of keep the polish. These aren't super high polish. These don't have a mirror finish or anything like that. So I probably won't bust out the actual black shoe polish to care for these, but a little bit of leather balm, a little bit of wax on top of that to keep them a little more weather resistant, and also leave a little bit of that shine, because that's part of what makes these boots beautiful, is why I like them, is they do have a little bit of that shine. So to keep that, you add some wax on there. Looking at the sole, we do have a vegetable tanned leather sole. Same with the heel here. It does have a rubber cutout added to the heel, and that's going to help with durability. I do not like a full leather heel because it just ends up wearing out and chipping out, and it detracts from that overall. Leather soles are typically done on dress shoes, and so if there's like chipping in the back, it damages that look. It doesn't look quite as dressy, quite as formal as you want with a dress boot. But as you can see, I've been wearing these, again, like I said, I probably put on about 5 miles in these now. And so they're a little bit scuffed up. It's not perfect. I mean, that's what you're gonna get with any leather sole. And I actually, my first impression with this is there's a spot right outside, pretty much out my front door, that if I walk on it on a brand new pair of leather soles. Like I almost like slip off and fly off the stairs. So if I ever don't post a video for a couple weeks, you could just presume that I've slipped and died. So there's that. But after putting in about, I'd say like 2 or 3 miles, these got a lot more grip on there. So at first I was pretty worried. I thought these were the slippiest boots that I had, leather boots that I had. But at this point they've broken in and they're much better. And I don't have to walk around like a deer on ice. You know, I get to walk around like a normal human. So that makes me feel good. In terms of the insole, it's a cushioned leather insole. And at this point, I didn't really face there was no stiffness, there was no discomfort. But at this point, after 5 miles, I've broken into them even a little bit more. Overall, I would say very comfortable to wear. Again, this is fully leather lined. So even the sole is leather, and then there's a calfskin leather lining on there. So overall experience, super comfortable. So I'm really happy with that. For fit and sizing, this is a very narrow boot. Part of that is it's positive, part of it is it's negative. You know, it's a positive or a drawback depending on what your foot is like and whether or not you can pull this boot off. I like the fact that these are so narrow, especially towards the toe, because that's part of what makes it a dress boot, and that's what attracted me to this boot in the first place. Now, if you have wide feet, I don't believe at the moment Acemarks carries an E-width for the Troy boot. It says, you know, I went on their website and it looks like they have the option there, but none of the shoes are in stock. So they might just be out of stock. I could be wrong, but it's not there. I haven't seen it for the last 2 weeks. So I'm just gonna assume that they don't carry an E-width for these boots. And I got the 10.5, which is my true sneaker size. And yeah, getting the 10.5 at first, you know, I thought they definitely fit snug, especially around the ball of the foot right here and the instep. So they're a little bit snug. I'm not worried about that. I wasn't disappointed with that because I do want these to be my slim dress boots. And so the slimmer the better in my opinion, so long as they're not like squeezing the crap out of my foot. So in this one, as long as you avoid any sort of thick cotton sock, I just wear thin cotton dress socks, and I didn't experience any rubbing at all. And I'll get more into that in the break-in period part. But yeah, so I think right away, in terms of sizing, a little bit small. Like if you were maybe a 10, maybe a 10.5 and you're not really sure, I would probably go the 10.5. I'd go a little bit larger, but I'm a 10.5, sometimes 11. I went with 10.5 and it was fine. So you just have to wear thin socks. But other than that, I mean, you can expect it to be a little bit snug due to the fact that it is a narrow Chelsea boot. As for the break-in period, like I said, at first it was a little bit snug. At first it was super slippy, but really after, I think it was 2 miles, I mean, these, you know, it was a hot day, walked around for 2 miles and the leather kind of eased up, stretched around my foot a little bit more, broke into the insoles a little more, and then that leather outsole scuffed up enough to where it would get some actual grip. So those issues, I knew they would, you know, even themselves out in a matter of days, weeks, whatever. It happened really, really quickly. But otherwise, like, yeah, the break-in period, super comfortable. Did that 2 mile back and forth walk to the brewery. No problem there, no rubbing, no blisters, no sore feet, no nothing like that. So the break-in period, super easy on these, big fan. You can find the Acemarks Troy for $299 on their website. And I personally think that that is a solid value. You are getting the Blake stitched, so it can be resold, so you can, you know, keep these going for decades. Has the classic full grain, or excuse me, vegetable tan leather sole, and that's, you know, that's gonna keeps that classiness in there. Really get a super sleek silhouette, beautiful calfskin leather, super tight grain, really easy to care for, and keep looking good for a long time, and they're super comfortable. So yeah, you're getting up there at the $300 range, which is quite expensive. But you know, if you really want this sort of look, that really dressy, super classy with the high quality that you can really see, you know, when someone's wearing a really nice pair of boots coming down the street, you can see it. I think this is a fantastic deal. And then you're getting into those like $500, $600 boots. But with these, like, solid value. So I'm a big fan of that. My final verdict on the Acemarks Troy, I love this Chelsea boot. This really fit that bill of like a matte calfskin, super tight grain boot. that that fits that sort of that niche in my wardrobe that I was looking for $299. You know, you're dropping a little bit of coin, but this is a boot that's gonna last for decades if you take the proper care of it. You know, if you're hitting it with the leather balm, the wax, and then you resole it when you need to, it'll definitely serve you well over the long run. And so for that reason, I'm a fan of the acemarks Troy. So if you want to check out the acemarks Troy, you can click the link down in the description below. Also, while you're there, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate you being here. And until next time, put your best boot forward.